In our world today, we are dependent on the news to provide us with information about the events going on around us. We spend countless hours reading or watching newspapers, radio, television, and more. The media plays a vital role in our society by shaping our views about many social and political issues, by informing us and educating us. However, many times the media uses propaganda to achieve their hidden agendas. I'm going to focus more on the extent of propaganda used in the media today. Propaganda has been traced back to Edward Bernays, who is known as the father of public relations. He was a part of a group of liberals during World War I. These liberals convinced the American government to send an army to Europe. Edward Bernays also worked in the American tobacco industry. He convinced women to smoke in public by saying cigarettes are torches of freedom.
It worked in the sense that women started smoking publicly, and in fact, smoking became a symbol of the new woman, of the emancipated woman.
Love is like a cigarette. You know you held my heart.
Bernays wrote a book called Propaganda in 1928. In it, he wrote that the intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Bernays thought that engineering public consent was for the good of society, and that it was necessary. He did this by creating false realities and made them into news stories. One of the techniques used in media is censoring news. Now that there are so many censored stories, there are organizations that monitor the censorship. One of them is Project Censored. They gather a list of the most censored stories each year and compile them in a book. In 2013, the most censored story was the trial of Chelsea Manning. She was a United States Army soldier who leaked documents to WikiLeaks. She was charged with 22 offenses, the most serious one being aiding the enemy, because it could have resulted in death penalty. Nowadays, books that discuss controversial topics are censored. Even though banning books isn't allowed in some countries, such as the United States, there are other ways to censor them. These include ignoring them, blacklisting the authors, and suppressing them by not publishing any hard copies. Some examples of censored books are the Forbidden Bookshelf series. The books deal with topics like economic systems, wars, and how governments delete their history. All these techniques we discussed, censoring news and false realities, are used to shape our perspective about a certain topic. But the question is, how do they manage to do this? And why does the news we see have a huge impact on the way we think? Well, to explain this, we will need to look at the human psychology. According to Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel Prize winner, our brain works in two different ways. We have two systems. One of them is automatic. This is the one we use most of the time. The other system is effortful. These are more commonly known as System 1 and System 2. System 2 is the one we use for more complex things, like solving a math problem. System 1 works unconsciously, and it calls on System 2 when it cannot work on its own.
System 1 is essentially what comes up automatically in your memory. So, when I say 2 plus 2, something comes into your head. When I say your mother, an emotion comes. So all these things that are automatic, that's what I call System 1. And you have no control of it because it's automatic and involuntary. System 2, the slower thinking, is distinguished really not so much by the fact it's slow, although it's pretty slow, but by the fact that it's effortful and deliberate. So what you can do deliberately, you do in System 2. And you can control yourself, control your thoughts, perform complicated computations. Those things are activities of System 2.
So let's start with System 1. This system thinks associatively. It doesn't deal with logic. This means that System 1, which we use most of the time, doesn't see bias. Most of the time, we don't question the news we are receiving. We are also then more likely to believe what we see on television or newspapers. For example, if an event is covered negatively in the media, we are more likely to think about it like that too. We do this without questioning our thoughts. At times, System 1 doesn't even know where these thoughts are coming from. Another thing the media does is control the coverage of events. In this way, the media controls what we should think about the most. The events or topics covered more in the media populate our minds, while others are forgotten. However, our System 1 doesn't know this. For example, for weeks after Michael Jackson's death, it was all over the news. That's why so many people spoke about it. Meanwhile, events that are less appealing to the public eye, for example, declining educational standards, are ignored. The media has an impact on your feelings and inner thoughts. A dramatic event will alter your feelings. For example, the news of a plane crash will make you question the safety of flying. Events that alter your feelings will speak to System 1. A certain event might make you feel worried or protective. This response is uncontrollable because it has lots of media coverage. For the example of a plane crash, your System 2 might know that it's an unlikely occurrence, but System 1 still feels worried.
Now we will see one example in detail as to how media mixes propaganda, news censorship, and different human psychology techniques to form our opinions. To do this, we will look at the example of Pakistan.
Pakistan has been portrayed negatively in the media a lot nowadays. We can see this with different media stories and surveys done. For example, the Global End-of-Year Survey shows that Pakistan is the biggest threat to world peace after the United States.
One publication in particular, the Daily Star, published stories about Muslim issues knowing that they were untrue. But misinformation is only part of the problem. It can also be the framing of stories. In 2012, 9 men were convicted of sexually exploiting young girls in Rochdale in northwest England, with similar cases around the country.
All involving mainly British Pakistanis.
Who were all Asian.
Mainly Pakistani Muslim men groomed.
But critics say that as soon as it emerged that the grooming gangs were Asian and Muslim and that their victims were white, that the men's race and religion became central to their offences in the coverage that followed.
That again falls back on this idea that you essentialise religion. You're making religion the reason for those crimes. And I think if you looked at any of the profiles of the men that were implicated in these cases, they were drug abusers, they were alcohol abusers. Very few of them would fit the profile of what a British Muslim would consider a British Muslim way of life.
Another example is a news story from CNN, which says that Pakistan is the epicenter of Islamic terrorism. Similarly, terrorism has been linked to Pakistan over the last few years. All these news stories show one side of the country, which is negative. Since these stories portray Pakistan negatively, this is also how the audience is going to think about it. This will be the natural reaction. As we saw earlier, these news stories will speak to System 1.
Despite the problems in Pakistan, there are many positive aspects too. What the media doesn't show us is that Pakistan is a very vibrant country, like many others. Pakistan has a rich history. One of the oldest civilizations on the planet, the Indus Valley Civilization, lies there. Out of the 165 sites uncovered, Mohenjo-daro is the most impressive, archaeologically and visually. Mohenjo-daro flourished between 2500 BC and 1500 BC, and it reached a population of approximately 40,000 to 50,000 people. This site is now a tourist attraction in Pakistan. Pakistan has an array of different landscapes, including deserts, glaciers, and mountains. The Swat district in the northern valleys has one of the best sceneries in the country. Northern Pakistan has the highest concentration of high mountains in the world. It has 36 of the world's top 100 highest mountains, including K2, the world's second highest mountain. Pakistan also has great architecture, including modern and historic sites. Some examples are the Lahore Fort, Minar-e-Pakistan, Faisal Mosque, and Badshahi Mosque. Pakistan has many well-established educational institutes. The University of Punjab is the oldest and largest public university in Pakistan, which was established in 1882. The University of Engineering and Technology, commonly known as UET, was established in 1921, and it ranks 54th in Asia. These and many other prestigious education institutes have produced top-class scientists, researchers, doctors, engineers, teachers who are serving in the country as well as around the world. Pakistan has its own agriculture and industry. Most of the wheat, rice, barley, sugarcane, oilseeds, corn, and pulses are grown in Punjab. The area around Multan is best known for the mangoes and the finest cotton produced in Pakistan. Pakistan has its own electronic media with over 100 TV channels in many different categories, including sport, news, music, movies, and channels for kids. Pakistanis are very proud of their culture, traditions, and food. It is clearly evident in festivals and events. Pakistan has many internationally known sports teams. The most popular sport in Pakistan is cricket. Football, squash, and hockey are also amongst the top. The teams have also participated in many international tournaments. For example, the Cricket World Cup. Pakistani cricket, hockey, and squash teams have won top positions many times in international events.
It doesn't. However, as long as governments obsess over public opinion, the public relations side of the news business will remain a growth industry, with its dark arts, imaginary and ambiguous sources, and expert analysts. And news junkies should make a habit of reading between the bylines.
It's the media's job to keep news stories in perspective and context. Unfortunately, they are failing to do this because they have their own corporate agendas. Because of this, we need to show responsibility by questioning official stories, looking for multiple sources, and using System 2 more often.